Every day we come across situations that try our patience, try our poise, and disturb the serenity we seek for. Maintaining it could be as frustrating as being caught in traffic when you're already behind schedule. Aggravation brought on by a coworker's seemingly never-ending obnoxious behaviors or the depleting battery life of your phone. Life seems to be full of these minor but constant deaths that occur just when you're in the middle of a crucial call. Struggles with seemingly insignificant situations that can quickly escalate into stressful situations. That brightens our entire day while we travel down a pitch-black road far from life, one step at a time. At one point, robots glided through the mental block, scattering shadows. Sky. But the truth is that it goes beyond these small annoyances. Our reactions to these commonplace situations go beyond simply how we react to them. They influence the very fabric of our lives and decide whether we have a good or bad day. Lives impacting our relationships, mental health, and even our general feelings of purpose. Today, we're exploring the timeless wisdom of Stoicism, in-depth philosophy that provides a roadmap for overcoming obstacles in life as well as surviving them. Stoicism is about thriving in the face of adversity, not merely about surviving. Adversity gives us the means to change the everyday annoyance and hurdles we all face into chances for personal growth, resilience, and inner peace. Imagine having the ability to look at a hard time, a delayed flight, a misunderstanding with a loved one, or a setback at work, not as a source of stress, but as a chance to strengthen your character and refine your approach to life. That's the power of Stoicism. By the conclusion of this film, you'll understand why this ancient concept has inspired some of the greatest minds in history, from Roman emperors to modern thinkers. And you'll come away with real strategies you can start using right now to lead a more resilient, balanced, and satisfying life. So let's set out on this adventure and see how the cool, collected ideas of Stoicism might enable us to control our responses, develop a profound sense of calm, and bring about significant personal change. This goes beyond merely understanding abstract concepts. Concepts is about learning how to deal with life's obstacles with grace and clarity on a daily basis. If you appreciate the voyage we're about to go on and wish to learn more with us, I urge you to support by clicking the subscribe button. You can easily and freely stay in touch with the channel. And make sure you watch the entire video so you don't miss the revolutionary revelations we're about to make. The entire process so you can take in each concept and tactic. It might be the beginning of a profound change in your perspective. Let's begin first. It's crucial to acknowledge that it's perfectly normal to feel angry or frustrated. As part of the human experience, everyone has times when their feelings surface. But this is where Stoic wisdom changes everything. It doesn't discount the existence of frustration or rage, but rather it teaches us how to these feelings with purpose and comprehension. Stoicism serves as a reminder of a straightforward but profound truth. Although we have no control over everything that happens to us, we do have total control over how we respond to them. This shift in perspective is pivotal. It has the power to transform our relationship with anger, frustration, and all the other emotions that tend to overwhelm us in challenging moments. What if the next time you felt your patience challenged you, waited instead of reacting immediately? What if you saw that time as an opportunity to practice virtues like patience, resilience, and realizing that's the core of Stoicism? It allows us an opportunity to rewrite the narrative of our lives, not as victims of circumstance but as individuals who shape their reality through their choices and attitudes. This is where the journey begins together. Let's cover the principles and practices of Stoicism that can help us transform minor annoyances in life into opportunities for personal development and lasting calm. Consider this. When something goes wrong or someone irritates us, our initial reaction may be to respond angrily. But what if we took a moment to think about this instead? Reaction Stoicism urges us to view these situations as chances to. By accepting anger as a natural emotion, you can cultivate qualities like patience, understanding, and resilience. Natural emotion. We set the stage for learning how to handle it more effectively. The Stoic philosophers like Epicus and Marcus Aurelius often discuss the concept of not being swayed by external events but instead focusing on our internal responses. They believe that our emotions, including anger, come from our judgments about events, not the events themselves. Therefore, our anger is frequently a result of placing a specific value or assessment of what has transpired. Picture this. When something goes wrong or someone irritates you, your initial reaction could be to anger. Your heart races, your voice rises, and your mind fills with frustration. It's an all too familiar feeling, isn't it? But what if you paused instead? What if in that fleeting moment you chose to take a step back and examine your reaction before letting anger take hold? This is where the timeless wisdom of Stoicism comes into play, rather than viewing these moments as mere frustrations. Stoicism encourages us to see them as opportunities to practice virtues like patience, understanding, and resilience. Anger, after all, is a natural emotion, but when we acknowledge its presence without letting it control us, we create a foundation for growth and self-mastery. Stoic thinkers, such as Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius, often highlighted the significance of focusing on our internal responses rather than being swayed by external events. Their teachings remind us that our emotions, including anger, don't arise from the events themselves, but from the judgments we place on those events. Think about it when someone cuts you off. Sometimes your anger isn't triggered directly by their action. It's caused by your sense that they've insulted you or broken the unwritten laws of the road. This awareness is incredibly liberating. It opens the door to a new manner of handling issues the next time you feel rage rising. Consider asking yourself, what judgment am I making about this circumstance? Is there another way to view it? These simple questions can shift your perspective. This isn't about hiding or rejecting your anger. It's about understanding it by diving further into the fundamental causes of our emotional responses. We may begin to edit the script. For example, imagine being cut off in traffic. The initial wave of fury could feel automatic, but instead of fixating on the other driver's behavior, pause and reflect. Is it their behavior that's bothering you? Or do you think that there should be no obstacles in the way? Making a distinction enables you to refocus your energies so that you can take advantage of the opportunity to cultivate self-awareness and patience. But Stoicism goes beyond that. Identifying and examining your anger also offers space for empathy. It reminds us that just as we struggle with our feelings, so do other people. The driver who interrupted you may have been in a hurry to a hospital or resolving their own issues. When we see people with empathy, our relationships grow, and our relationships enhance empathy for ourselves as well as those around us serve as a source of guidance. This method of handling anger isn't merely a philosophical exercise, it's a useful tactic for handling the difficulties. Understanding human emotions, when we recognize that a large portion of our annoyance originates from, we liberate ourselves from needless pain by attempting to manage the uncontrollable. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most renowned Stoics, eloquently expressed this wisdom. Genuine power resides in recognizing what we can and cannot control. Involves a lot of we get angry at things or people that we can't control, like a coworker's poor habits or a delayed trip. A rude comment from a complete stranger can cause annoyance, but instead of allowing these situations to control your emotions, Stoicism encourages you to recover your inner tranquility and concentrate on what you can control. Is this change in viewpoint, behavior, and thoughts? Every time you decide to take a moment to think, reflect, and refocus, your thinking changes. Your feelings. You become one step closer to controlling your responses, and you develop perseverance in the face of adversity, comprehension in the face of disagreement, and fortitude in the face of overtime. This exercise does more than merely alter your anger management style. It alters your way of living. You take charge of your ideas and choices, and your acts alone. Everything else is really beyond your control. The past and a large portion of the future are shaped by human behavior. Although this is where, by concentrating on our own responses and dispositions, we regain an enormous power. But rather than squandering it on the uncontrollable, we invest it in what we can truly impact. Let's be realistic. For example, If you're working on a collaborative project and someone isn't doing their share, it's easy to become angry, and you may even feel like your temper is rising. But question. You can't make your own decisions. Therefore, what aspect of this scenario can I truly control? Teammates put in more effort, but you have influence over how you handle the situation. Perhaps it's a discussion about expectations, or maybe it's redistributing tasks across the team. By changing your attention in this way, you not only lessen your personal. Another facet of this Stoic philosophy is that it not only addresses the issue but also makes more positive solutions available. Is acknowledging that some circumstances are just out of our control. This acknowledgement does not imply resignation. Rather, it indicates realizing our true power means, for example, not allowing outside circumstances to control your mental health. If you're frustrated because you're going to be late and you're stopped in traffic, stop and consider whether you can control the traffic, but how can I influence your response? Perhaps you could play an audio recording, read a book, listen to some relaxing music, or take some time to reflect on your day and the value of concentrating on what you can. Control is that it progressively creates a more robust and resilient mentality over. Because you are aware of your obligations, you will eventually find that life's ups and downs don't shake you as much. Where they don't, this is about directing your efforts more effectively, not about repressing your emotions. Completely present in the moment, cognizant of our location and actions, without being unduly reactive or overwhelmed by the events surrounding us. This fits quite perfectly with Stoicism, teachings that place a strong emphasis on being conscious of our thoughts and behaviors, and controlling how we respond to outside situations. Therefore, why engage in mindfulness exercises as they allow us to take a moment to between our experiences and how we respond to them? And by practicing mindfulness, we can select answers that conform to our principles and objectives rather than allowing our feelings to control us. Is very helpful for handling rage or annoyance, such as when someone says something that irritates you. Mindfulness enables you to take a step back rather than responding or snapping back. Although you are aware of your emotional outburst, you decide to watch it objectively without taking immediate action. The space that mindfulness offers is not only peaceful, but also empowering, providing you with the opportunity to select a response that you won't regret afterwards. Let's discuss how to use mindfulness in everyday life, since it seems like a wonderful idea in principle. However, the true magic occurs during practice. One easy method is to pay attention to your breathing when you find. If you're experiencing anxiety or anger, take a moment to focus on deep, slow breathing. This focus helps you divert your attention from the things that make you feel stressed or angry, reminds you that you have power over your breathing. Mindful observation is another useful technique that I like to use. Select a routine activity or time, such as sipping coffee, and give it your whole attention. During this encounter, pay attention to the scent and the warmth of the cup in your hands. The flavor of this technique of living in the present moment might change, and it's always exciting to transform an ordinary encounter into a richer, more complex event. Concerning this is that it teaches your brain to apply the same degree of consciousness to more difficult circumstances when you're angry or frustration occurs. You'll be more capable of managing it with the same concentration and composure that Stoicism also teaches us. Regarding the transience of our experiences, nothing lasts forever. This is enhanced by mindfulness, which allows us to experience our emotions without passing judgment. Recognize that you are upset, but also remind yourself of this anger is a fleeting emotion. It doesn't define you or take control of you. The notion that nothing lasts forever and that everything changes is a universal reality that can help us deal with life's ups and downs more gracefully and with less annoyance. It's about realizing that our situations, feelings, and even our ideas are ever-changing, and rather than fighting this ever-changing state, we should learn to accept it. Consider how frequently we become angry because things didn't go as to plan. Perhaps a job advancement didn't materialize, an abrupt change in our health, or a relationship that terminated abruptly. The initial response may be to oppose these changes and get upset or depressed. However, maintaining composure encourages us to view these circumstances differently by using the impermanence lens. Once we fully understand that nothing lasts forever, and we begin to understand that our frustration or rage is also temporarily, this gives us a more balanced perspective on our feelings without lessening their significance. Accepting impermanence enables us to focus more on the here and now and less on the future and the past. And if you realize that everything is transient, you start to value your life and those around you more than you now do. Assume that things will always be the same because you know that things might change at any time. Extremely liberating, it increases happiness and lessens the sting of bad things. Few good ones. So how can we learn to embrace impermanence in our day-to-day existence? Begin by considering the fleeting nature of your experiences and surroundings. For instance, observe how the seasons change. Notice how your emotions alter during the day, or how these observations can serve as reminders that relationships change over time. The only thing that is permanent in life is change. You may incorporate this into your life by modifying your response to interruptions or unforeseen changes rather than responding with. When you're frustrated by anything not going your way, take a moment to realize that this change is a part of a larger flux of life. It's a chance for unity to change and develop. Imagine a moment when things didn't go as planned and then something better happened. It's usually only in retrospect that we can understand how these adjustments were advantageous. And Stoicism doesn't merely ask. Accepting impermanence inspires us to discover strength in every transition, and it is an opportunity to exercise adaptability and resilience by cultivating this attitude, which we not only hope with overcome life's obstacles more skillfully, but also discover how to do so with calm and hope for. The Stoics think that understanding the underlying causes of our emotions could result in greater self-control. When we are aware of our feelings, we are better able to. Instead of just responding out of habit, we should address life's obstacles in ways that are consistent with our values and objectives. Or impulse every feeling we go through, including joy, sadness, rage, or our perception of the environment around us might cause dread. For instance, it's worthwhile to investigate the reasons behind your anger when someone stops you while you're speaking. Does this indicate a deeper insecurity about your voice being heard by digging? Or is it because you feel disrespected? You can start to comprehend not only your responses to these questions, but also the underlying values and ideas that this knowledge is essential, since it allows you to alter your viewpoints, which will subsequently. We learn from the way you feel Stoicism that our feelings are supported by our. The good news about judgments is that they can be reviewed and modified, so try to take a step back and consider what you are currently believing when you are experiencing intense emotions. Is this belief accurate? Is it beneficial? This type of inquiry can be quite effective. It enables you to change your viewpoint and select an alternative emotional reaction that is more beneficial to you. For example, if you're nervous about a presentation at work, it could be because you think you have to perform flawlessly to gain respect. But is this actually the case? Most likely, you're knowing that your coworkers appreciate your effort and honesty more than perfection can help ease some of reduced nervousness and enable you to face the circumstance with greater composure and assurance. In actuality, journaling may be a really powerful technique for using words to understand your feelings. By writing down your feelings and investigating the reasons behind them, you can find trends and triggers you may be unaware of. Otherwise, this contemplation not only over time, but also develops a kind of emotional intelligence that might help you become more resilient. And another flexible strategy is to talk about your feelings with a mentor, friend, family member, or someone you trust. Talking about your feelings might open your eyes to new ideas and viewpoints that you may not have previously thought of. We get new insights about ourselves and our relationships through conversation. Adopting the Stoic approach to emotions is about interacting with your feelings rather than repressing them. Feelings in a proactive and thoughtful manner. It's about assuming command of your inner life story. By being aware of your feelings, you're not merely responding to the outside environment. You're actively influencing how you perceive it. Stoicism teaches us the importance of patience, not only as a means of perseverance but as a way to change our patience experiences. According to Stoic philosophy is more than just waiting. It's also about how we act throughout that time. On preserving our dignity and poise in the midst of life's setbacks and difficulties, realize that these are frequently beyond our control, and we come across innumerable circumstances in our daily lives that can make us impatient. Our immediate reaction may be to become angry or stressed out by a slow-moving line at the grocery store, a traffic jam, or a colleague's delayed answer. This is where Stoicism comes in. It teaches us to view these situations as chances to exercise virtue. Every delay is an opportunity to practice patience and strengthen our capacity for composure. However, how can we cultivate patience practically? One useful strategy is to modify our expectations. Frequently, impatience results from a misalignment between our expectations and reality. If we begin by accepting that delays and obstacles are inevitable, we'll be less likely to become agitated when they happen. This doesn't imply lowering our standards, but rather bringing our expectations into line with the reality that things won't always go as planned. Another important strategy is to turn waiting times into chances for introspection and personal development. Instead of being upset about the delay, you can use the time you're trapped in traffic to your advantage. This change in perspective transforms an unpleasant situation into a productive or soothing one. Practicing mindfulness is also a valuable tool. You can listen to an audiobook, practice deep breathing, or just think back on your day. By practicing patience and living in the present, we may separate ourselves from the restlessness and sense of urgency that can come with waiting. By practicing mindfulness, we can develop a calm mental state that protects us against the nudges of impatience. Stoicism promotes patience as well as an awareness of the transience of our current situation. Keeping in mind that this as well, knowing that it is just temporary, might make unpleasant circumstances easier to handle, such as waiting for a delayed trip or going through a protracted recuperation period from an illness. At last, in order to develop patience, it is important to recognize and reward small victories. When you are able to remain composed in a situation that would normally make you impatient, this reinforces the behavior and increases the likelihood that it will become a habit. This practice of patience is one of those life-changing events that not only alters how we interact with others, but also has a significant impact on our inner peace. Stoic forgiveness is about releasing ourselves from the emotional weight that comes with harboring grudges, not about accepting wrongdoing or forgetting the harm done. Forgiveness necessitates a strong sense of self-awareness and emotional control, which is something that Stoics work to cultivate. It entails realizing that, although our hurt and anger are normal and legitimate reactions to perceived injustices, forgiveness is not always easy or instantaneous. It frequently calls for a conscious, coordinated effort to let go of ingrained feelings of injustice. Think about the strength that comes from choosing not to let someone else's actions disturb your inner peace. This is the core of Stoic forgiveness. It involves consciously choosing to stop allowing previous deeds to influence your current mental state. This choice enables you to recover your emotional energy and direct it toward more positive endeavors that are consistent with your values and objectives. Now, how can we begin to practice forgiveness in our daily lives? It starts with acknowledging that everyone is flawed, including ourselves. We all make mistakes, sometimes out of ignorance, and other times out of malice. Taking stock of our own failings can foster empathy for others, which facilitates forgiveness. Another effective Stoic technique is to take a step back and look at the wider picture, a viewpoint that can significantly alter the way we handle grievances and disputes. Frequently, the things we cling to, the slights we replay in our brains, or the wrongs we tightly grasp, are much less important in the larger scheme of our lives. We can begin to lessen the immediate pain of those grievances by refocusing on our long-term well-being, which is supported by inner peace and harmony. If we think of a current quarrel or dissatisfaction as a tiny dot on a much broader canvas, does that dot truly exist? Describe your life in its entirety. The Stoics taught us that when we practice this kind of wide thinking, our anger and resentment start to fade, enabling us to put our inner peace and personal development first. Forgiveness exercises more than just letting go. This process necessitates actively rewriting our stories after a traumatic event. Rather than seeing yourself as a victim caught in a cycle of helplessness, anger, or injustice, try to see yourself as a survivor or even a hero of your story. A survivor isn't defined by what happened to them, but rather by their capacity to overcome, grow stronger, and learn from adversity. This change in viewpoint not only makes forgiveness easier, but it also gives you the ability to take back your narrative, converting injuries into knowledge and suffering into fortitude. Forgiveness is a conscious choice to let go of the hold that anger and resentment have on your thoughts and emotions. Like all conscious choices, it does not imply forgetting or condoning wrongdoing. Support is frequently needed for forgiveness, which is where mindfulness and meditation can be effective partners. Meditation offers a safe, quiet place to deal with your emotions in a thoughtful way, rather than reactively. As you sit in silence, concentrate on your breathing, and allow thoughts of forgiveness to slowly enter your mind. Picture the people who have wronged you as fellow humans navigating their own challenges and imperfections rather than as enemies. Imagine sending them thoughts of goodwill, not because you approve of their behavior, but rather because you choose to release the power they hold over you. This visualization process can feel incredibly freeing. It's not about absolving others of their responsibility, but about relieving yourself of the weight of holding anger and resentment by choosing to forgive. Your mental calm. In order to overcome the destructive effects of grudges and make room for healing and development, it is crucial to keep in mind that forgiveness is a process that is frequently drawn out and difficult. It doesn't happen overnight, and it's perfectly acceptable to take things one step at a time. Every tiny stride you take toward forgiveness, every moment of introspection or compassion, is a step closer to becoming lighter, freer, and more emotionally balanced. Forgiveness is fundamentally linked to self-control, which is another tenet of Stoic philosophy. Retreat enables us to take a moment to separate stimulus from response and consider whether this reaction is consistent with our values and long-term objectives, such as pursuing a healthier lifestyle. Retreat is the voice that guides you in deciding not to indulge in late-night junk food, because you know that the transient pleasure isn't worth sacrificing your objective under emotionally charged circumstances. Self-control is the steady hand that prevents you from reacting angrily or with a harsh remark. It protects relationships, safeguards your inner peace, and makes sure that your actions are guided by your true self, rather than by whims. Increasing forgiveness and self-recovery together produces a potent collaboration. Self-retrieval is necessary for forgiveness in order to withstand the temptation to exact revenge or to brood over past wrongs. When we embrace forgiveness and self-control, we create a life that is not only more peaceful, but also more in line with our core values. Self-recovery is further strengthened by the clarity and peace that forgiveness brings about. These qualities enable you to face life's obstacles with grace, wisdom, and integrity. This alignment enables us to live with a profoundly transformational feeling of purpose and freedom, and to develop genuine connections with others. How can we genuinely improve our capacity for self-control, which is a crucial talent that keeps us anchored throughout temptation and directs us toward our higher goals? The solution is deliberate practice, using time-tested tools and engaging in introspection. Let's examine several useful Stoic techniques that can you get this transforming ability. Regularly reflecting on your activities and their effects is one of the most effective strategies. This doesn't have to be a difficult or drawn-out process. It might be as easy as allocating a short period of time each evening to reflect on your day and consider the decisions you made. Were there any instances where you felt your self-control faltered? And if so, what situations or triggers caused such lapses? By recognizing patterns in your behavior, such as circumstances, surroundings, or feelings that test your self-control, you can take the first vital step in managing and eventually conquering them. Reflection is not about brutally criticizing oneself. Rather, it's about gaining clarity. Sand has been transformed into saucer by what isn't disposed of in the chemist's trash. Water. Reflection also enables you to acknowledge and appreciate your successes. Perhaps you maintained your composure during a challenging talk or fought the want to check your phone during a meeting, no matter how tiny. Recognizing these instances encourages you to keep going and reinforces positive behavior. Another very successful strategy is to establish explicit personal guidelines for conduct that is based on your principles. The Stoics stress that leading a successful life is based on rational ideas. Consider the aspects of your life where you frequently struggle with yourself. Is it aimlessly browsing social media, late-night munching, and hasty conversational responses? Make personal guidelines that reflect your values and aspirations. For example, you may choose to limit your social media use to 30 minutes per day, or refrain from using your phone during meals in order to be more present. Establishing these rules is a commitment to live intentionally and adhere to these guidelines, not just a way to set boundaries. Continuously fosters dis, which immediately improves your sense of self and general well-being. Another technique that can significantly affect your capacity for self-control is visualization. Before you find yourself in a situation where you might be tempted to act impulsively, take a moment to mentally practice your response. Imagine yourself facing the temptation, having a difficult conversation, enjoying a delectable dessert when you're trying to eat healthily, or the lure of procrastination, and visualize yourself managing it with composure and self-control, as some well-known authors have stated. Visualize the pride and fulfillment you will experience when you adhere to your values. This mental practice builds a blueprint for success, making it simpler to act in accordance with your objectives when the time comes. Visualization not only increases self-assurance, but also makes it easier and more clear for you to overcome obstacles and fully master self-control. It's critical to increase your discomfort threshold. One of the main tenets of Stoic practice is that voluntarily experiencing discomfort fortifies our resolve and gets us ready for life's inevitable obstacles. Consider self-retrieval as a muscle that gets stronger every time you resist an impulse or make a conscious decision that is in line with your values. Over time, these consistent efforts build a solid foundation for handling even the most difficult situations. Practices like taking cold showers, fasting, or purposefully resisting small urges like skipping that extra cup of coffee or delaying gratification help train your mind to endure discomfort without giving in. This realization not only builds mental resilience but also equips you to handle more complex emotional or social situations with greater composure. The goal of implementing these techniques into your daily routine is to change the way you view life. Retreat enables you to make deliberate decisions, handle setbacks with grace, and live in accordance with your highest values. It's about making progress one decision at a time by thinking back on your actions, not about reaching perfection. Establish deliberate guidelines. By imagining accomplishment and accepting suffering, you can cultivate the fortitude and self-control required to face life's obstacles and temptations. With every step you take, you'll get closer to being the person you want to be. These habits not only help you become more self-reliant, but they also help you live a life of integrity, fulfillment, and purpose. Finally, always keep in mind that self-retreat is a continuous journey and process that changes with you throughout your life. There will undoubtedly be times when you falter because your emotions overwhelm you, or when you give in to an impulse that you later regret. They remind you that you are a person, so don't define your character. It's not the rare slip-up that counts, but rather how you handle it. Finally, never forget that self-retreat is a continuous journey and process that changes with you throughout your life. You will undoubtedly have times when you falter because your emotions overwhelm you, or when you give in to an impulse that you later regret. Don't define your character. They remind you that you're human, and that what matters most is not the occasional slip-up, but rather how you handle it. Every time you make a mistake, take it as a chance to grow and reflect. Acknowledge the situation as it is, identify the triggers that caused your reaction, and use that knowledge to perform better the next time. Self-retreat is about trying to get better one choice at a time, not about being flawless. Every little triumph, whether it's choosing a healthier option or resisting the impulse to put things off or keeping your mouth shut during a heated argument, is extremely valuable. Every instance of self-control is a testament to your development and a step closer to the person you want to become over time. As we wrap up today's discussion, these seemingly insignificant actions add up to create a profound transformation in how you approach challenges and manage your emotions. These seemingly small acts are the foundation of a wiser, more balanced bed and resilient self. It's important to celebrate these victories, no matter how small they may seem. Thank you for accompanying me on my investigation of self-control and Stoicism. Every step you take toward emotional mastery is a step toward a more contented, peaceful life where you are in charge of your responses and in line with your core beliefs. However, keep in mind that this journey doesn't have to end here. There is still more to learn, a wealth of insights to uncover, and countless ways to incorporate Stoic wisdom into your everyday life. Take a moment to watch one of the recommended videos on your screen. They are meant to accompany you on this life-changing journey. Together, we're not just learning, but building a community of growth, reflection, and resilience. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Let's keep encouraging one another to pursue a life of virtue and purpose and to face obstacles head-on with grace and intelligence. Cheers to your ongoing transformation and an intentional life.